Hey, hello, and welcome back to the Plus Side of Life. I'm getting a little bit of cabin fever in the van, so I figured I'm gonna come outside, enjoy a beautiful day, and talk to you about van life in the winter. Alright, now it is the heart of winter right now, mid-January, and I know for some of you, you've probably already been experiencing some winter conditions for a few months now. I know when we were in Colorado, it snowed right after we left, and we were already experiencing temperatures in the low 20s and 30s in late September. So for some of you, you probably have gotten used to it. Now, for me, I'm currently in the Carolinas, where we have a very mild winter, to say the least. Typically, our temperatures are somewhere between 40 and 70 degrees. Occasionally, we get a few 20 or 30 degree nights, but it definitely doesn't stay that cold all winter, let alone all week. Now, here in Charlotte, snow is only a figment of our imaginations. If we get any, it probably won't come until the week of Valentine's Day. Thanks to climate change and global warming, snow is becoming less and less of a thing for us during the winter time. Instead, we mostly just get a non-stop rainy season where it just never dries up and is muddy all the time. So with that in mind, that leads me to my first tip for van lifers: go somewhere warmer. A lot of van lifers are able to travel, and that's one of the benefits of being able to live in a vehicle. So you can definitely chase nice weather. I've seen lots of maps shared around where you can travel year round and experience 70-degree weather. So that's definitely an option for you. For somebody like myself, my husband has been calling me a temp wimp forever because I really don't enjoy cold weather. I could enjoy snow for like maybe a week, maybe. But I really don't like super cold weather. Unlike him, who could live in snow and 20-degree weather and be happy as a lark. But that's neither here nor there. But my first tip is really just travel somewhere warmer if it's something where you don't want to have to deal with cold weather. It's really easy to just drive somewhere south. Even if you are in a colder temperature or a colder climate, one tip I will give you is that you can just go down to a lower elevation, and that should help you out. That was something we learned quickly during our time in Colorado. It was much colder, even during the summer, at higher temperatures than when we were down in the valley. So worst case scenario, let's say you are enjoying some awesome ski time. Don't sleep at the top of the mountain. Go down to the valley where the resort is. Park somewhere down there, and it should be just a little bit warmer for you. So yeah, be a fair weather chaser, but don't be a fair weather friend. My second tip probably sounds super obvious, but insulate your van. It's important. It helps a lot. Like a lot. The fact remains that insulating your van can have a huge impact on how much you enjoy van life. Not only during the summer when it gets warm can it help keep it somewhat cool, but in the winter, that's where insulation really shines. We typically find that our van is usually somewhere around 20 degrees warmer inside the van than what it is outside. So when it's like 20 degrees, it's probably about 40 degrees in the van. If it's 40 degrees outside, it's usually around 60 in the van. So it does work pretty well to help keep us warm. While we were building out our van, we actually took a trip to the beach, and we had our walls insulated but not our ceiling. Oh my gosh, that was such a bad idea, because we actually woke up to condensation freezing from our breath on the ceiling, and then it melting and dripping on our face to wake us up. We've since then experienced similar temperatures and not had any issues like that. So insulation does make a huge factor when making your van feel comfortable when it's cold out. Now, insulating your van does not need to be complicated or super expensive. For our van, we used 1/2-inch rigid foam core. We did 2 layers of that along with a layer of Reflectix, and that has worked out really well for us. We did our walls and our ceiling. That's worked really well. And then we just did Reflectix on the floor underneath the hardwoods. You can even still see the Reflectix and the foam insulation in our unfinished, was going to be shower, now officially a closet. So it's really easy to install and put up, and it doesn't cost a lot of money either. Now, lastly, if you are unable to get to a warmer climate and if insulation just isn't enough to cut it, I recommend that you do put a backup plan in place. For us, we do have extra blankets. I have a beloved down blanket that Jeremy gave me for Christmas a few years ago, and I use that practically every day. We do have down sleeping bags if we really needed them. We've only really brought them out during that one trip at the beach, but we do keep them in the van as an emergency if it gets really cold for us. Also, we do have a heater that we can plug in, and it works really well. Now, I will say the heater that we got does require us to plug into shore power because it takes so much electricity. So that is a downfall for it, but it heats up really nicely. If it is cold, we're able to turn it on at night and heat up the van. Since it's a small space, it doesn't take very long to heat it up or keep it warm. And then we usually just turn it off right before we go to bed. The temperature will slowly cool off throughout the night, and we're able to sleep comfortably, only needing to turn it on first thing in the morning just to knock off the chill. Now, worst case scenario, we have used our oven to help heat up the van. We don't like using that because it is our propane tank that we use to cook with, so we're basically just throwing away propane. We do have a CO monitor in the van in case, and really the only time we use that is, like I said, in emergencies where we can't connect to shore power to use our heater, and also just to really knock off the cold. Otherwise, we'll just bundle up in coats and blankets and keep warm that way. So it is a worst case scenario option, but it is something that we have done in the past, and just turn the oven on, open the door, and let it heat up the space. Also, as another bonus tip, I highly recommend having some thick socks because our floor is always cold, especially in the wintertime. Overall, it really isn't that hard to stay warm. I think if you were staying somewhere in a colder climate where it's snowing and significantly colder, you might want to invest in a propane heater or one that connects to the gas or diesel in your van. I know those do exist. They are also quite expensive, which is why we haven't invested in one. Plus, like I mentioned earlier, I'm a temp wimp, so I'm not going to be staying in cold weather for long periods of time. Hopefully you did find something here valuable for you and learn a little bit more about how we stay warm for the winter. One last bonus tip for you when you are building out the van is to have your fresh water tank inside the van so the water doesn't freeze. Now, if you don't have a hot water heater, that water will be very cold coming out of your sink or faucet, but you won't have to deal with having your water completely frozen, which is also a good thing. We have our gray water tank underneath the van connected to the chassis, so for freezing water there, we're not as worried about that, but for the fresh water, definitely recommend having it inside the van. Hopefully you enjoyed this video. If you did, please give it a thumbs up. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button and the notification bell so you never miss a video. And until next time, get outside and enjoy, encourage, and explore.